Hello, hello. How are you all tonight?
Hello.
Welcome. Come on in.
Oh wow, crazy hair. Woo.
Hey, Joni. Oh, you're muted. Wait, no, you're not. I just can't hear you. Hang on. It might be me. There we go.
I just said crazy hair.
I know, me too. Like during the day, I always get my gym clothes on and just kind of go for a walk or run or something when Brooke comes home. And I'm always like, man, on Monday nights, I'm always just like drab. Oh well.
And it's
Like,
humidity season.
is it warm in Kansas? Is it humid? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We actually had a beautiful day today. It felt like the West. Like it was just cool, no humidity, and I was soaking it up because I know it's coming.
Yeah, it's just hot here.
Yeah,
In here.
yeah. Well, all right. Not sure who's it's not a bunch of invites. Hey Denise, how are you?
Hi, good to see
Hello.
you again.
I
I'm so
know.
sorry about your purification. I'm like, oh,
That's okay. That's okay. I know we get it free this month, but my order won't go until the end of the month. And that was my last bottle. So
oh
it's okay.
no.
I have one that's in a roller, but I've been putting it in like my diffusers. I'm like liking that one because it's good for the liver and anger. We taught the emotions class yesterday,
It
and
was so good. It was so good, Sarah. I
well,
mean,
it was just so good to be together again. Like after a long period of time not being together, it felt good. So
my friend who I brought, oh, this is being recorded. Forget it. I'll talk to you about it.
yeah,
I forgot
yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I'm gonna get started. I know it's a beautiful evening, and I'm sure people will catch the recording. So welcome everyone. If you're watching the recording, hello, hello. Reach out if you have any questions to any of us or anyone that invited you to this Zoom or this video. We are recording it. And so tonight we are going to talk about first aid naturally. And I'm talking like the minor things, right? Like obviously if you have a major like cut, scrape, wound, and you need medical treatment, like obviously do that, right? Call 911, go to the emergency room, what you need to do. But these are things that are like just everyday mishaps, or even in the meantime, like while you're waiting for medical treatment, here are some natural things that you can do to maybe help with bleeding or I'm just thinking, what are like major things? I'm thinking like bleeding or broken bones too, broken bones. So I'm going to go over some herbs, just some everyday common herbs and also oils as well. So what are some things that you face, like just daily mishaps? Anything in particular, Denise?
uh, bee stings if we're outside barefooted. So bee stings, ticks, like getting a tick.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking sunburn, that type of thing. Those are just things, especially in the summer, being outside, we experience.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Joni? Anything you want to add?
I would say like the tick thing's a big thing for us. That's very new for us. We've never dealt with that before moving to Kansas.
Okay.
And I think too, like I think there's like little bugs that I don't even see them. Like you feel like you're getting like little bites or something, and I don't know what it is, but and then I also feel like being where it's like more humid and the sun is like really intense, it's always that skin irritation, and how do you soothe your skin to help things like calm down? And maybe that's more of an inflammation thing. I'm not really sure. And then there's just the traditional, you step on a stick or you scratch something or, you know,
Mhm.
and here too, poison ivy is an issue that we've never had to deal with that either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, poison ivy?
So wait, because you were in Washington, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't have ticks and poison and stuff like that out there?
Like if you went to like the forest area,
Yeah.
but no, never
Oh,
dealt with ticks in Washington. Um, they're just only in certain areas, and you just like there's so many bugs and things here in Kansas. It's
okay.
just like I'm like, wait, we lived like in a place where you didn't have snake issues, you didn't have bug issues, you didn't have tick issues, and now we
Oh.
have everything, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm using the stress away a lot because like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed here. How do people live here? I don't know.
Oh no. Oh my word. Well, okay, let's talk about that. So bee stings, because we have bees, and when my husband's dealing with the bees or the girls are helping him, yeah, we often get bee stings. And just going barefoot too. So I think you've told me this one, Denise, but basil right on the bee sting, and then I always make like a poultice with clay. So bentonite clay, or even you can use mud if you have like good soil, like if you can get some mud and you can mix it up. And I always add some lavender to that just to soothe the area. Um, and I apply that. It's cooling and it's drawing. So those are just my go-tos for that. Basil on the bee sting and then the clay, mix that up. I always kind of keep it real close by. And I even think I have these little first aid kits. We made them at the class that I taught in person. Did I put that one in there? I have the other thing in here, but like I had a little jar of it, kind of like this. This is a comfrey salve, which we'll talk about, but I had a little jar of clay and I just keep it with me. So if we are hiking or we're out and about, I can just kind of mix that up. I mean, you can always grab dirt too and do the same thing if you're out like at a picnic or something. So I always just keep these things with me because things happen when, you're hiking or you're, maybe at a backyard picnic or something, and you may not have your oils with you. I always like to have them with me. So, um, said skin. Um, so I'm thinking like the itchiness, right? A cooling spray. You can make a cooling spray with water and witch hazel. So the witch hazel just helps to bind the essential oil to the water. You could use like a pinch of salt in there as well. But witch hazel's like an astringent too, so it will help the skin and like any rashes, like just from that like the humidity rashes. Yeah. Um, and like you can add lavender to that and peppermint. So that's a nice cooling spray, and keep it in your fridge because then you can just pull it out and spray it on you. So I usually make that in like a 4-ounce glass bottle or metal. And I would do like maybe 20 drops of lavender and 20 drops of peppermint in that. You could go lower if you want to, and then see, you can increase as needed. Um, ticks. Uh, yeah, we have had so many ticks. Like I'll just see them, like we have a dog too. And so they'll just come in on like the dog, on us. And I'll just find them like I found one. I pulled out a shirt out of my closet and it was crawling on the coat hanger, like the hanger. And I was like, oh my word. So yeah, they're really bad this year. I think because here in PA we had a really mild winter. I don't know what winter was like. Yeah. And so nothing died. And yeah, so they're bad. So um, if you do get a tick, I always like to take some oregano. Now, oregano is a hot oil. You can dilute it and just put it on that tick bite. And I will take like a marker, a magic marker, and mark where that tick was so that I know for reference to look like, okay, is there a bullseye? Is there anything that is showing that there could be, bacteria infection? But my daughter, we never found a tick on her when she was like 5. They went horseback riding, never thought to check her. And a couple weeks later, she had bullseyes all over her body. So it doesn't necessarily, yeah. And like under her eye, she had a cold and she was coughing. And I thought, well, maybe she broke a blood vessel. And then I was away. My husband was getting the girls ready for bed. And he's like, I think you need to come home and check this. they were all over. So they don't necessarily show up in that location. It could show up anywhere. So just, yeah, just mark the area. Yeah. And you can even do some drawing like the clay as well, like that, because it's drawing. Let's see what else. Oh, it's like if you step on a stick, right? Oh, go ahead, Denise.
So, okay, so that's what you do when you know, put oregano on, but what can you do as far as like, if you do get a bullseye, like, is there a protocol of oils or supplements or something? I
Yeah.
mean, I haven't had this problem, but for maybe people that I know would have one this summer, because usually they put you on that regimen of antibiotics, which I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. That's probably something you need to do, but also just wearing our oils can help us when we're out to the ticks will stay away more, I feel like.
Yeah. The insect repellent, Young Living's insect repellent is amazing. And I like to put that because it's an oil base and it can get really messy. So I get the big roller bottles on Amazon, search deodorant, empty deodorant roller bottles. And they're like this big honkin' roller bottle, right? Meant for like making your own deodorant. And I'll put it in there. So then I can just roll it on my skin and my ankles. I'll even put a little bit in my hand and put it on my dog because we don't use any of that like stuff for ticks for dogs, just because then my girls pet her and then that gets on their hands and that's such a chemical that I don't want that. I don't know. It's like, what's the lesser of two evils, right? A tick or yeah. So using your oils, and if you have a tick and it's embedded, you can drop I think it's like peppermint or really any oil. I think it's peppermint though, that you drop around it or like even on it and it will back itself out if it's embedded so far that you can't get it out, especially those little deer ticks. But as far as a regiment, like if you do get a bullseye, my husband's had Bell's palsy, and so he doesn't mess around with any kind of ticks. And so we will go on that as much as we don't like antibiotics. We do that regimen and get on the antibiotics. If you have a muscle response, like a kinesthetic response doctor near you that can do muscle testing, because the antibiotic is not going to wipe it out completely because that bacteria is like it's like a spirochete is what they call it. So it can spiral in any like organ or like your spine or brain. And then it can present itself again when when the body is under stress and the immune system is stressed. So having a muscle response testing doctor can actually detect maybe where it is. And then what we did for Grace, she did the antibiotic. She actually had to get an EKG because her numbers were so high. The doctor called and was like, this is very concerning because it could affect young girls' hearts, like young children that haven't gone through puberty yet. It could affect their heart. She was okay, but then we went to the muscle response testing doctor, our doctor, and she put her on like high vitamin C and some other, I forget, it was so long ago what we did that protocol. So there were some supplements that we did. Young Living has an oil or a supplement called Inner Defense, frankincense, thyme, the Thieves blend is in there. So it's a really high power oil that you could, or supplement that you can use, but then also probiotics if you're on that any antibiotic and even Inner Defense, making sure you're bringing back that good bacteria, and that takes a really long time to build that back up. So any kind of fermented vegetables, yogurt, kefir, which is like a yogurt on steroids. It's a cultured dairy. We say kefir here, but it is kefir. And yeah, so just repopulating the gut bacteria is important. We have a Life 9 supplement that's a probiotic, and it's created to bypass the stomach acids and then actually colonize in the intestines where it's supposed to. So that one's a really good one to have on hand as well. Oh, and then you were saying poison. That was another skin one. Poison. One thing I like to do is, because it's itchy, I was just telling this to a friend the other day. She's like, what do I do? I take a wet washcloth and I will make it as hot as I can possibly stand it. So a damp, wet washcloth, hot as possible. And I put it on that itchy poison, right? Because it, when I researched this, it says it desensitizes the nerve endings. So you won't be itching a lot. So do that as much as you can. And then use tea tree to help dry it. Tea tree or Melrose. I like Melrose because Melrose has, 2 of the Melaleuca oils, and then it has clove and rosemary. So if there's any kind of, you know, it oozes, right? So if there's any kind of infection or anything, that'll just nip it in the bud. So Melrose is really good too. So it'll dry it up. And then, yeah,
I just had poison, Sarah.
Okay.
And this is what I did before. Melissa Stolfus, they use the calamine lotion, but it says in the reference guide you can mix lavender and Roman chamomile with the lotion. But rose is number 1. So this person said that they use Melrose, but it would start itching again. And purification helped, but it started up again an hour or 2. But when they used Joy or Harmony, it stopped itching for a long time. And those oils have rose in.
Yeah.
So it seems like the rose is what's really, really super calming. Now that's a very valuable oil, but those blends have it in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So I used the Melrose, I used Harmony. I ran out of Joy, but I had Harmony, so I used that. And that really does subside the itching.
Okay. And then I have this little like first aid oil thing here, and it says itching here, 5 drops of lavender with jojoba oil. So that, yeah, the lavender is really calming too. So that's good to know, rose. So that's another tip. If you don't have like rose, which is like, or Royal Hawaiian sandalwood, like those really valuable oils, look for blends that have it in, and you're going to get the same result. Yes, good to know, Denise. And we said, like, just if you step on a stick or you poke yourself, right? With like, yeah, I'm always stepping on stuff, right? So to stop bleeding, geranium helps with stopping bleeding. And that goes for a nosebleed too. So if you have a nosebleed, take geranium and rub it down the bridge of your nose. And now you're not supposed to hold your nose back, right? When we were growing up, it's like, hold your head back and pinch it, right? Now it's down, so everything drains. So the geranium down the bridge of your nose, geranium, around any kind of cut that, not really directly on it, but just around it. My daughter our horse stepped on her foot a couple years ago, and she was wearing Crocs, and it started bruising. And so I actually used geranium on it because of the bruising, the underneath part. And it was so weird because as the blood comes to the surface, right, and it's bruising, it was actually creating these little, like, tiny blood droplets coming out of her skin. It was the weirdest thing. So it was like helping to draw it out, and purify it. So she didn't have a whole lot of bruising after that. What else did I use? Oh, I used copaiba because that helps with inflammation, to keep inflammation down too. So copaiba is a good one to have on hand. Geranium is a good one to have on hand for any kind of cuts, scrapes, bruises. Also, again, Melrose is one I always have on hand. Purification for any skin thing. Lavender, frankincense, those are amazing for skin. And I don't have it here, but Young Living's Royal Hawaiian Sandalwood Spray, it's like $12, but it's the water that's left over the first time I smelled it, and I actually had someone bring it to my house, they're like, is this what it's supposed to smell like? I was like, yep. It's very strong, very, very woodsy, earthy. But when you smell Royal Hawaiian Sandalwood, it is the same, right? But it has amazing properties in that water after distilling the Royal Hawaiian Sandalwood. And you can get great skin benefits. So I will actually make a spray with frankincense, Melrose, purification, lavender, even, copaiba and geranium. I just kind of drop them all in there so that if I do have any, or if I or my children have any skin, like rashes, scrapes, cuts, anything, it's easier just to spray that on. And royal Hawaiian sandalwood is so healing for the skin. So then you're just amplifying it with those oils. So that's kind of my go-to skin boo-boo spray. Even kind of after sun, like if you get burned, so that's healing too to the skin. So that's kind of the go-to for everything skin.
Do
Yeah.
you use the owie a lot?
I used to. I'm actually out of it. That one is awesome. The owie oil. I think I used that more when the girls were little, but yeah, I should look to see if I have that because that has royal Hawaiian sandalwood in it. And
So I
a
was
lot of,
thinking the blend.
yeah. So the owie oil is really, really good. And that comes in a roller bottle as well. If you just want to roll it on for like children. Okay, let me show you this. If you're out and about, right? This is plantain. Do you have that there in Kansas? Kind of like it grows everywhere, broadleaf, kind of flat. It grows in your yard. This is plantain. And anytime going back to bee stings, I will use this. If we're out taking a hike, the first thing I'll do is I take this and I chew on it. And then I put it right on that bee sting or anything that itches or hurts. And then I'll take another one and put it on top and try to like, keep it on there. Sometimes a lot of times it's within the shoe, right? Because my kids wear Crocs and then like if a bug gets in there and stings it. And so then I'll just kind of tuck that in their shoe along with, any other oils that we're using. So plantain is awesome. And then the strings, not that you're ever going to need to do this, but I think it's a little fun fact, but you can pull these strings out and they're so super tough that if you have to like suture up skin, if you're in the middle of the woods or like if you're in the middle of nowhere and you see this because it grows wild, you can actually use the strings as thread to like sew up skin. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. And then this is comfrey. This is a herb that you can grow in your garden. Do you guys have that growing? Yeah. Joni, you do. It gets these beautiful purple flowers on. Mine are starting to die back. But the plant gets enormous. And these we dry. And then, so we dehydrate them. And then we soak them in olive oil for just like a couple weeks. And we tip them up and down. They have to be dried or the olive oil, it'll go rancid and it'll smell moldy and disgusting. So it has to be dried. And then from there, that oil can be used, you strain it off and you can use the oil as is, or you can add beeswax to make a salve. And comfrey is known as the bone knit herb. Yep. And if you check anything online, it's going to say, do not use this internally. But you ask the Amish and they're like, oh yeah, you can use this internally. And so it's in a few capsules that we have from one of our Amish health food stores. And then unless you have like a liver problem or or if you're taking this long term, then you don't want to use it internally. But if it's for a short period of time, it's okay. According to the Amish. So you have to know your body. But what it does is it really just helps repair any ligaments. If you have a broken bone, my husband had a four-wheeling accident and his road, like, I don't know, he just hurt his shoulder and he was in a sling and he was not going to go to the hospital. He's just like, I'm not going, it'll get better. And it was like a week, maybe a week and a half. And it still was really hurting him. And I was like, I'm going to mix up some comfrey and some turmeric. And I pulverized the dry comfrey, made little capsules with turmeric because that helps with inflammation and the comfrey. And within like a couple days, he was out of the sling. And he didn't have to take it that long. So comfrey is a nice one to just have growing or find the dried leaves. And then when you make your salve, because it's for muscles, bones, ligaments, you can make that salve, or even in the oil when you strain it, you can add panaway, because panaway is for muscles, ligaments, bones. Like there's wintergreen, clove, and copaiba in panaway. Wintergreen is that like analgesic feeling, right? Helps with muscles. Clove helps to numb, and then copaiba helps with inflammation. So you can add that to your salve, or just the oil if you just want to use the oil and rub it on like any kind of muscles, shoulders, knees, if maybe you've been gardening or something and you have just, sore muscles.
Actually, it has helichrysum, not
That's
copaiba.
That's what it is. Helichrysum. Thank you. I felt like I wasn't saying that right, because helichrysum is it's a valuable oil. That is one, if you do go hiking, you want to take a little vial of that with you, like a little bit of it, because if you do get a sprain, and you're hiking and you can't get to medical service right away, that one is one you want to keep on your, on an ankle, or you just put that on. So that's why I like to use it in panaway. It's in panaway, so you get all the benefits of the wintergreen, the clove, and the helichrysum. Did I touch on everything? We did bug bites. Oh, like burns. If you do just get like, you're cooking in the kitchen or campfire, you get a burn. Lavender is always the go-to. Lavender right on that burn. And it's just going to help with the blistering. You're still going to have that pain, but it's going to help from blistering and being really sore. I think I got it all. If there's anything else, thinking first aid stuff, I think we covered it all. Anything else that I missed that we talked about? Okay.
Can
So
you just
show
us what you have in your first aid?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, my girls were so excited. I had these little things left over and they were making me all kinds of first aid stuff. So this one, I have a little bit of that comfrey salve with panaway in it. So that way, you can just rub it on muscles or anything if we're hiking. That one doesn't have much in it. Band-aids, all that. But this one, I just had lavender in this one and I took it out. I needed it. But I have dyes, because that's for upset tummies. So if you are out and about and you eat something that you shouldn't have, or something didn't settle well, you're going to picnics and eating food that, you don't normally eat. Dye is always one that I love. I always have this. I have multiple bottles everywhere, because it's not fun getting sick or getting, throwing up or having diarrhea, or having a little one, like, getting that. And there this is. Look, Denise, owie. I have it in there. Owie's in that first aid kit. And then RC is for respiratory, and it's still spring here, and so if I'm feeling congested or closed up, I can use RC for lungs. And then panaway as well. The panaway's in there again to support muscles.
So I remember when we did the first aid thing, and we talked about clove, how that actually like numbs the area. So
yeah,
I was thinking, because you wouldn't normally put clove right on, but you're already in pain. So if you put the clove in, it actually works as a numbing agent. So that's one good to have too, because if you sprain your ankle or something like that.
Absolutely. And I just, I stepped on a piece of glass maybe a month ago, and glass, I thought I got it out, and the piece broke off, and it was in there, and it was in my heel, and it hurt so bad. And so for splinters or anything like that, where I have to go digging, I will use clove before I pull try to dig in my skin or my kid's skin. Now, clove is kind of a hot oil too. So if it's on like a tough part of skin, like maybe the palm of your hand or heel, but I just kept putting it on and like digging, and I got it out. It was the teeniest, tiniest little piece that caused so much pain. but yes, clove. I love that for numbing, and even like for teething, if babies are teething, dilute it with some coconut oil and you can rub it on the jawline or actually on the gums. And that's good for any kind of dental, issues as well. Don't put it on straight. Some people do, and it burns your mouth. Dilute it with some coconut oil and put it on that sore tooth and the gums. If your dentist can't get you in until, 2 days and you have to wait and you have that pain, you can use that clove to help numb that area. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So now you have a little cheat sheet of like what to use, and just keep thinking about that, because when you're in the situation, you have to think fast, right? And you're like, what do I use? And so sometimes just grab your oils, right? Just grab lavender is always that go-to. Coat by Eva, frankincense are usually always those go-to oils. They're very mild, because you don't want to be grabbing oregano and putting it on something and making the matters worse because that's a really hot oil. So think mild skin supporting oils. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining. And yeah, if you have any further questions, just reach out, and we'll see you guys at the end of the month. We're going to be talking about the business side of Young Living at the end of the month. And Denise, I wanted to let you know, June 19th is our next in-person gathering here, and we're making summer sprays. So it's more for like kids too, like mamas and kids, because we're making like a hairspray, like not hairspray, but like a mermaid detangling spray, a boo-boo spray. There's 4 choices that people could choose from, and they get to choose 2 because some of them are similar. So yeah, so some summer sprays, and yeah, so you can tell your people. I know you had some mamas asking. So all right.
Quick question.
Yeah, sure.
I said it in the chat, but I don't think you saw it.
Oh, no.
Basil's been out of stock for quite a long time. Is there any timeline of when it might be coming back in?
Oh, I didn't see
It's been
that.
out for months.
What about the Vitality? Did you check the Basil Vitality line?
It's all out.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just ordered that a couple months ago. Well, it must have just gone stock. So
Yeah. It just says coming back soon. That's all it says.
okay. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think whenever you had mentioned it, I think you might have mentioned it maybe on a story or something on Instagram, or I kind of heard it and I kind of listened for little bits of information. And so then when I went to look for basil, it's been out of stock ever since you had mentioned it.
Okay.
So,
do
yeah.
you have clarity at all?
I don't know. Does it have basil in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. If you can find a blend, if you have a blend that has basil in it, or just when you type in basil, it'll bring all the oils up that have basil in it. And then you can be like, oh, I have that one. And just use that one.
Okay.
Yeah, till it comes back.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Wait,
Yep.
what do you do to find that out?
When you type in an oil, it normally brings up all the oils that, like all the blends that have that oil in it then too. On the Young Living website.
Okay.
Yeah. So then you know, like
M-Grain's out of stock too.
Okay.
So that must have basil in it.
Yeah. I wonder if clarity is if basil is out of stock. Because remember, wintergreen was out of stock for the longest time too, and everything like Panaway, all of those were out of stock. So
yeah,
that's why I always like to have like just a few extra of my favorites, just in case, just in case. So I know it's a bummer when that happens, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I know that, something happened with the growing season. They didn't like the batch, the quality wasn't there. And so they're not going to sell it to us. So yeah.
Or it could be that there's such a high demand and the new growing season has not yet reached maturity for the process to begin again.
Yeah, because we know how long it takes plants to grow. And then even like you think about the tree ones, like frankincense and royal Hawaiian sandalwood, the sandalwood tree actually has to fall over and die. Like they don't just harvest it. So you have to wait. That's why that oil is so valuable.
30 years, I think.
Yes.
So they can harvest it. And look at wintergreen. It was gone. It was out of stock for like 2 years, wintergreen.
Yeah, and Blue Tansy was too. That's why that's why we have Peace and Calming 2 and Valor. Do we have Valor
Oh,
2? No,
yeah.
we do have,
There was at one time there was a Valor too, I thought.
yeah, because it was out of stock for so long and those are just
Mhm.
popular blends. So they reformulated it without Blue Tansy. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, I'm going to let you ladies go back to your evening. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Tony. Bye.